Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter. Get the value you need and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Corner Bookstore. And before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to the incredibly talented Daphne DeLucci at Roar Media Creative for creating all these fabulous backgrounds that we have, and also for our website, usaglobaltv.com. All right, let's get started with this show. The Corner Bookstore is so exciting because each week I get to share this stage with the lovely, extremely, unbelievably well-connected and successful Diann Floyd Boehm'S, who in the last year alone has accomplished more than probably 100 people that I know. Let's bring her out.
You're so kind to me always. And Daphne, whoa, the backdrops are incredible.
Amazing. And look at all these books. And I know that you're an avid reader. So Diann, before we begin and you give a little bit about your background, how do you find time to read, and how much would you say you do read, Diann, during the course of a week?
I wish I could say I was an avid reader, but I write mostly and research. My husband is the avid reader, but I do find time to, I just joined a book club with OC Publishing, and that will keep me. Yeah, exactly. So that will keep me focused. And also one of my publishers, CJ Peterson, that I hope to have on the show with us, she has so many books, but she has a trilogy that just blows your mind. And so I'm attempting those, and that's 3 books, but then she has another 12 books in a series. I know. So, and you can't put them down. So I'm so afraid if once I get stuck on them, it'll be like binging and I'll never have any of my
Where's Diann? Where'd she go?
Yeah. So I am excited about books that I have on my shelf, which I would show you, but hey, they're somewhere hidden behind us.
Yes, they're behind all these other books. Well, Diann, we're going to start off with one of your clips so we can take a look at your books, and then we're going to look at the other ones. So let's take a look, and then let's come back and talk about it.
Sounds great. Thank you. Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at diannfloydboehm.com. Visit diannfloydboehm.com. That's diannfloydboehm.com.
Wow. A shout out to Mr. Al Sini, the creative genius behind that. So, Diann, how do you feel when you see that?
I think I want to cry every time. It's just so amazing to have a commercial, and now too, and Alcini does just such an incredible job, and as many people have expressed, his voice is like perfection. But to see your books that you've worked so hard on, and you've also worked so hard in so many years just to become published, it's the dream come true. And to hear how Al interpreted them, it 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 just made me, I was just blushing. And my mom was able to see that particular commercial, and so she was just like Facebooking it. This is my daughter. But it feels so good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. It really is. And your books, the covers themselves are absolutely, pieces of art. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that because you were involved. I saw designs, your name was on there, and you
Yeah.
also worked with your daughter. And I'm not sure if you work with anyone else on any of them, but why don't you just share a little bit about that?
Sure. So on all the books, the cover is everything, right? Because it's the cover the parents look at, or if it's a young adult, it'll be the high school kid or a parent again enjoying, a young, fabulous historical fiction. Um, that particular book has the cover of my grandmother on it, and OC Publishing, Ann O'Connell and her team put that book together. I supplied a photograph of Oklahoma from like 1904, I believe, and they faded it in and just did an incredibly beautiful job. So I hope my grandmother's smiling from heaven along with my rest of my family that's up there. And the rest of the books, though, the Moonling Adventures, my daughter Catherine Louise, she did all of that. She did the entire books completely. And then the other Moonling Adventures, I had those are some of my pictures. So I just took a painting about, I guess almost about 10 years ago. So they're very soft, very sweet, but that's what I wanted the little girl in the moon to be about. Very kind, loving, and now we've brought in the boy in the moon, and so it's taken off to the Moonling Adventures, and I have a book coming out. Hopefully we'll be announcing when it will be, but for sure by next summer. And what else? Covers are just everything. Oh, Judy, who did A Song of Peace, she did all of that artwork, and she's up in Maine, and I feel very blessed to have her. So she did it. She really, it's amazing to watch your books come to life. So we took one of the pictures that she had in the actual book and turned it into a cover.
Absolutely fantastic work. Let's take a look at Song of Peace, and then we'll have more conversation about that. Here we go.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann Floyd Boehm'S A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DiannFloydBoehm.com.
Didn't Al do great?
He is amazing. By the way, did you know that his father was a famous singer?
No.
Yeah, he actually is in The Godfather. His name, I think the first name is Al Martino, last name Martino.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. That explains where Al gets his talent.
Yeah, Johnny, I forget the name of the character. Anyway, you can Google it. But yeah, so Al does a great job, and we're really happy to have him on board. So, so Diann, you mentioned that you have another book coming out, And you had an incredible year, highs, lows, major accomplishments. And so now I'm going to spotlight you. And I'd love for you to just share with our audience a little bit about your background. And your focus is really children and young adults, but you have a background as a teacher and as an actress, a performer. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you are the global connector for sure.
You're so sweet. You give me
It's
far too much
true.
credit. Thank
No,
you.
it's definitely true. You know, people from all over the world. And I also want our audience to know that you're a co-host on 3 shows on USA Global TV, and you're a talking head and an elevated listener. So when it comes to team player, you are looking at the team player right here.
Well, I'm learning a lot from you, Dr. Jacalyn. So yes, my background is like everyone else's. I started off as an educator, and I loved that chapter in my life. I taught so many beautiful kids, both in the States and in the Philippines. I taught at the American school there. And, I, chapters of life are so incredible. I I loved teaching. I went from teaching pre-K, kinder, to teaching third grade, fourth grade, and then I became a technology director when technology was brand new and there was no such thing as a technology director, but I knew how to use a computer, and so they were like, okay, you get that job. And so I was sort of the stranger in the classroom, but I found the magic, absolute magic in them. And at that time, they were Apple computers. I almost said Macintosh because Macintosh hadn't been born yet, which really dates me. But what Steve Jobs did for education, the ripple effects will be a lifetime and universal. And I had the pleasure of being selected. They picked 12 educators across the United States as the top educators using technology, the Apple computers within the classroom. And I was one of the first ones chosen. So that was quite an honor. So I spent time in California at Apple headquarters, along with these other amazing educators, learning even new things that would be coming out. And we signed a piece of paper, actually, and still things that I knew that were going to be rolling out are just now rolling out. So Steve Jobs was a force to be reckoned. He really saw the power of what could be done with technology. Then I moved into what else? That was the chapter, and of course the most beautiful chapter in life is marriage, and for me anyway, and my 3 beautiful kids. And so they're inspiration, and my whole story garden that I have, where I read to children and also interview young children authors. The books I kept every single book that I ever read to the kids, and then the books that I read within my classroom, which built the whole children's library. So I'm very proud of that. And my mom had a couple of books that she gave me that she used to read to us. They were the golden books, And I don't know, I don't want to bore you too much, but I just, my mom taught me that there's chapters in life, and to embrace each one, and wherever you find yourself, reinvent yourself and go forward. And that's kind of what I do.
You are certainly an inspiration and a dear friend, and you are so special to so many people. And I think you need to add that to to everything you've accomplished, because not everybody can say that for sure.
Well, thank you so much. I love people. I feel blessed to be on this earth, and I want to make the most of it. And though I'm not, I always make mistakes, I just take a deep breath and go, oh, poor pitiful me, and then say, okay, now pull up your pants and get busy.
I love it. And Diann, how are you able to take your knowledge, your experience, and your success and parlay that into your role as a talking head?
Very good question. I'm excited about talking heads, but truthfully, for all the listeners, it's also it's a challenge, and one that I'm embracing and a little nervous about, because I want to be really good at it. But the talking heads that I'm doing is all about storytelling, building your own story, learning how to build a story, dynamic character building. You're just going to have fun with it. And each time I'm on, I'll be sharing with you tips, and then hopefully you'll enjoy working with me privately. So Talking Heads, thank you for that opportunity, Dr. Jacalyn, and maybe you could share what Talking Heads is all about, because the team is outstanding.
We do have such a wonderful team, Diann. Just from the co-hosting team to the talking heads to the elevated listeners, I was just shaking my head Monday after the
Monday.
launch, just saying to myself, wow, I can't believe that this has all happens. And a lot of it has to do with you because of all the connections that you've made for me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So
Ripple effects.
Yeah, it takes a village is what I have to say. So
Mhm.
so Talking Heads was actually created by Daphne DeLucci. You're going to hear us using her name quite often because she is truly the unsung hero, the person behind the green screen, so to speak.
A wizard, as you
Yeah,
said.
the wizard. So she created Talking Heads, and it is a platform, which is now a television show for people who have at least 5 years of experience in their industry. They have a very large following, and they are considered to be an expert in their field. So it's a very small group of elite experts who come to USA Global TV. They're brand ambassadors for our channel and our network, and they present depending on their schedule when it is they've decided. It could be once a week, it could be once every other week, once a month, once a year, who knows. So they're the experts, and we work around their schedule. So we had our first one yesterday, actually, with Mariska Duprier, which was fantastic. And Diann, you'll be starting in a few weeks, right?
Yes, that's correct. So
And so also moving on to our show here, what can people expect as guests? It's the Corner Bookstore. We're really focusing on authors, and we want to have people go ahead and book and come on the show. I actually created a little comment here for people to go to our website, usaglobaltv.com, and book your session. So what can people expect, Diann, when they come on the program?
I think people are going to love our show. There are a lot of shows out there where we authors have an opportunity to showcase our work. I think what's exciting about our particular show, Dr. Jacalyn, is it's so relaxed. You don't have to prepare. It's like having a cup of coffee with friends. And I love that. It's down, it's honest, it's truthful, it's live. People can ask questions to the author. And how often do you get to actually interact with an author? And I think that's one of the great highlights that USA Global TV brings to everyone.
Thank you, Diann. And I also like the fact that we welcome the authors reading from
Oh,
their
yes.
books. There's something like I don't know, I get chills when I just hear someone reading their incredible work.
Yes. And as you know, being an author yourself, what moves you that day, it's also interesting. Well, why did you select that particular passage? It can
Yes.
change. Yes, that is quite fun. And also, I felt to say that it's in all genres. So if you're listening and you're an author, and it's all genres, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I also want to just comment on your comment about how important the cover is. And when I think to my book that's published now, Behind the Green Screen, I was so excited at the time for the cover. And now I look at it, I go, oh, I need to redo the cover.
Oh,
How-
I love your cover because it's exactly what it is, a green screen, and it's actually perfect for the title. So, but I know what you mean, because it's the birth of a baby, and then you get another book and you're like, oh, I love this cover even more. So it's like having kids. Oh, am I going to be able to love this child? And then you hold it and I'm like, oh my God, I have so much love in my heart. And then you have another one, you're like, oh. I don't know about I don't know how I would be if I was like some of my grandmas. In the olden days, the children, God love the parents. The disease happened. So thank goodness for vaccines, and so a lot of children didn't live very long. So people had like 16 children, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Oh
that's a
my
lot of
gosh.
loving.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is.
A lot of diapers. There were no Huggies back then.
I can't even imagine. And Diann, you and I have had this conversation before about editing,
Mm.
and for people who are out there, especially people who are writing a book right now, right? They're in the process of writing it. How do you decide when it's enough with the
Oh,
editing? When you've gone through it a zillion times, your editors have gone through it. When do you finally say, that's it, put it out there?
good question. And editing is it's a beast in itself to discuss. But I was lucky because writing was a new chapter, and as far as finally having a publisher that wanted to work with me. Um, and so Anne O'Connell, who I mentioned earlier with OC Publishing, she taught me a lot, and she's still teaching me actually. And then I have Texas Sister Press, which is my other publishing company, and both of them. I'll go, oh, I think I needed to add this, or what do you think about this? And both of them are just exactly the same. Take a deep breath, Diann. You are finished. You've said it. And so I think I need them to do it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's interesting. In the last couple of years when I've been reading, I never really paid attention to the actual formatting of a book. But now I
Mm,
find that it's pretty easy to tell when someone's had a professional publisher or they've done it themselves. And now I'm much more aware of punctuation mistakes or grammar mistakes. And I think, oh, I'll give them a pass because it's so easy to miss a period or a comma or something. And it doesn't detract from what the message is usually about the content.
yeah, that's true. But you can tell I have such an appreciation for people who love to edit. I just like, for my editor, I just want to hug her. She only gets virtual hugs because she's in California. But I'm like, seriously, I love you. Because having those extra eyes, just like, really? And
It's
um, and then there are editors that really that luckily I have one that loves grammar as well as like, you might think about this. And so she's very gentle about maybe embracing things, embellishing a little bit more. But then there's other people, and there are strictly editors that deal with punctuation, and you're just sitting there going, whoa, that's amazing. When I was in high school with punctuation, I was like, oh, is Johnny going to ask me out to the dance, or is he going to ask Susie? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be listening. Where does that comma go?
and it's also vitally important for the editor not to change the author's meaning.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's not a good editor.
Yeah,
No, no, no.
definitely not.
Yeah.
So, Diann, do you think, well, based on your technology background, which, by the way, kudos on that. I love a woman who's on top of technology. Would you say that it might be possible, maybe it's even happening today, for artificial intelligence or for robots to go through and edit manuscripts?
I would think so. From what I understand, and which is very little, that a lot of companies, especially from meeting one person, Microsoft had been hiring for a long time people with psychology degrees to read things and decide how interpretation, so that your robot would know how to answer questions. So artificial intelligence is going to be huge within the robots that we own one day, because people will have their own robots, very Jetson-like, and you'll be able to ask them questions, and they'll give you feedback.
And I hopefully will be able to say, stop talking, robot. I don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yes, exactly, exactly. As well as, our robots that some robots are already doing it in Japan, eye surgery and things like that. So who knows what will be happening. But for me, I personally, like, how you can go to the ATM, right?
Hmm.
That's robotic. It's
Yeah,
going on
definitely.
behind. But for me, I want to have a personal relationship with the bank. I
Right.
want them to know who I am when I walk in. I want to be greeted. I want to greet them. I want to wish them a good day. And it's wonderful. And but I'm a people person. So I was at the bank yesterday. Hey, Gloria, how are you? Did you have a good year? And everyone else is like, what? We're still getting stuff done. I'm getting out of there, but there's nothing like socialization.
Yeah.
So COVID was very hard for all that. So then you have to be grateful that we have Zoom and FaceTime and all of that. And what we're doing now,
Yeah,
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Absolutely. And technology has really changed the whole publishing industry as well.
Mhm.
And you and I've had conversations with other people about this, that it's great to be able to read a book on Kindle or
Mhm.
on another platform, but it's also something different, a different experience to hold it in your hands. I know my mother still gets the newspaper delivered. She likes to have that paper and be able to read it, whereas
I'm
I read
like
all the
that.
news online. So
Mm.
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm a newspaper girl. I'm like your mom. Unfortunately, newspapers aren't as thick as they used to be
I
because
know
everyone's
there's
putting
so
their editorials. It's like advertisement. I'm like, no, what happened to the
Yeah,
Sunday funnies?
remember the Sunday paper used to be so thick, and also do you remember the Sears catalog?
Oh gosh, who could forget? And Montgomery Ward catalog as well.
Yes,
And
it
didn't
was
you live for that for Christmas time?
absolute. You couldn't wait, and now Sears is out of business. It's
I
amazing.
know. Yeah, don't even get me started. I'm really upset about that. You would think I belonged to the Sears family, but I was like, how could you not have someone with that vision?
Right, right. I know. So
Yeah.
technology is changing a lot of things in our lives. And I know for me, I really embrace technology. It's kind of funny when my dad was alive, he was always a beta tester for technology. And anything that
Ah,
was coming out, like when Audible first came out, he was a beta tester for that. And he had, one of the first iPads and iPhones, and he just loved it. And I could never really get a great love for the technology because I thought it's helpful, definitely, but then there's always issues, right? Things that come
mhm.
up. And my dad would know how to fix all those things. People would call him to say, "Hey, my cable's not working. What should I do?" And now I'm obsessed with technology. I'm surrounded, I'm behind this green screen for hours and hours every day. And if it weren't for technology, we wouldn't even be here.
He'd be so proud of you. That is for sure. And my dad, not through technology because he went to heaven a lot earlier, but he was definitely ahead of his time. I think I told you, and you could put TVs back together when they broke, and actually because of his extreme ability to fix things, when computers were brand new, they were like a television set, the monitor, and then you had
Yes.
the actual technology. And schools were starting to embrace these things, and these were these Apple IIe's. So I was in this little tiny they made this little space for me, literally, in the library, and with fake walls and stuff. And the kids would come in, and I had about 12 computers, because in private school you have smaller classes. And if something broke, I had my own telephone. So I went and bought a super long cable, and then I would call all my daddy, which was in a totally different city, but because it was like a television, I go, Dad, this is going on, and my class is coming in 5 minutes. What should I do? And he's like, well, open up the Mac and do this and do that. And I'm like, oh, Dad, look, you so need to get a new job in this. I told you I was a storyteller.
It's a great story. And that's the thing about technology, like anything else. If we have this incredible fear of it, then
Mhm.
I think issues seem to pop up more often than not. But when we embrace it, when something doesn't work, I don't freak out anymore. I just figure
No.
out, what do I need to do to make it work? And
Yep.
9 times out of 10, it actually does, which is pretty amazing.
Right. And it's usually kind of a small thing. So by the time I had a fancy tech lab, because parents were starting to love technology, and all of a sudden had like 24 computers, and now you could have your computers like 3 or 4 connected to one printer, and 3 or 4 connected to another printer, and it would always, something would break when your students were there, and you would just like, okay, you can't freak out in front of the kids. Be calm and tell them. And generally, it was something really easy. Somebody turned off the power and thought they were cute.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of times it has to do with the power. That's
Yeah,
so true.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
Diane, I started my corporate career in telecommunications in
Oh,
1987, and I sold telephone systems to corporations. And I remember, in terms of technology, we had the central processing unit. The CPU was as big as a refrigerator. You would go into these buildings, and it was like it took up like a huge part of the room, and then they got it down to like it is fascinating to me about technology.
it is fascinating, and how much it's changed. And what you said is so true. I remember being in the Philippines, and Steve Jobs used the International American School there as his incubator for seeing how teachers from other countries, because we were from all over, embrace technology and what would we do with it. And this is when you had the floppy disks. Remember
Oh
floppy disks?
yeah.
And so our principal was like, you will do this, there is no question about it. And being from Houston, I'm like, what are you talking about? Those things are giant. How are they going to get them here? I'm thinking, astronauts going to space.
Drop it now. We're over the Philippines.
Right, right. And so I walk into this lab and I'm like, that's a computer. But I tell you what, they showed us the first little floppy disk thing for education. I was like, I love you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend all night learning all of this, because the magic was there and I wanted my students to have it. And then when we fast forwarded to America, I thought, I'm going to be so far behind because I've been in, a third world country, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, when I was being interviewed at this very posh private school, I asked, the principal said, do you have any questions? And I said, yes, you haven't talked about how many computers I get in my classroom. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I'm used to having technology for my kids, And this is in the 80s. And he's like, you know how to turn on a computer? You're going to help everybody. And that's how it all started. And I don't mean to get carried away with it, because technology books came out. So actually some of the first books I wrote were for teachers on how to use technology, and I get really upset because I won all kinds of awards for these books, but now they're so outdated that now when you see it like on Amazon, they're like, I had one called Build a Website, which I won tons of awards for, and now you see it and they're like, it's like not like 1 star, and I'm like, get that thing off there. I won an award for this, because there was no such thing. And I built the first graphics. See, you didn't know all this. I built the very first graphics website ever for kids. So kids, I wanted them to be able to embrace the internet. So there was a software called KidPix, which still exists today. And I took their graphics with their permission, and along with a good friend of mine who's very good with graphics, full-blown art design, we designed the Internet Schoolhouse graphic, and it won tons of awards, including in the White House, because it was the very first ability for young kids to embrace the internet, and they didn't need to know how to read. And all the sites were straight to, like, this is for preschool, so you clicked on the clown, and there were great educational websites for them and so forth. So yeah. So
Oh my goodness, congratulations. That's how long have I known you and I didn't know that at all. See, you're so
don't want to
deep.
bore you.
No, I think it's fascinating. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So do you miss that element of your life?
Yes and no. So I'm hoping to visit a couple of schools where I'll be known, hopefully, to come up and read maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks, because I miss the energy from young children. And then of course, when COVID gets, let's hope it all ends soon, and the world is healthy. I'll be excited to get back into with 6th graders and high school kids and inspire them. But as far as everyday classroom, kudos to the young educators and their energy, because your energy changes.
Now, if we were to walk into a school, I haven't been in a school in decades. Everybody has a computer, I assume.
It depends on the schools. It really does. But everybody does have access to a computer in some way or another. Some
So
kids are able to bring their own, iPads with them if the school, and I'm speaking about Texas now, some schools, there were wonderful grants where every kid received an iPad, and that was lovely. But it's like having a pen. If the kid doesn't really know how to use that tool effectively, then what good is it? If so, anyway.
how do you feel that learning technology at a young age, do you feel that it's supportive or maybe a hindrance to someone learning to write and be an author? Or are they
Mm,
mutually exclusive?
no, well, there's so much to that question. That's a really deep question. So I'll say this: when I was a young teacher, and the computers were brand new, but then I started training teachers and going to different schools and training the whole school and how to use that computer, which I always saw it as a tool to place into your curriculum and use it effectively at the right times. When principals would say, "Well, what will you do with kindergarten and preschoolers?" I said, "I'm going to take them out to play." And they're like, "What? What that has to do with computers?" And I said, "No. When you're 3 years old, you need to take your shoes off with parents' permission, and they need to wiggle their toes in the grass, and they need to talk about what they felt and how it tickled." I go, their toes were the technology. So technology to me, is everything. All your senses, not just computers. Does that help?
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you. Very thoughtful answer.
Mm.
Diann, we are actually at the end of our show, once again, flown by. And we want to
Wow.
have a shout out to people to join us to come and share your work on our platform. So please go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. Diann?
Yes. And
Yeah.
may I share with you real quick?
Yes.
So, yes, we want people, even if you're just, don't wait till your book's published. Feel free to come on and speak to us about the book you're working on. So, Dr. Jacalyn, I just found out about 5 minutes ago that David Crane, a good friend of mine and a motivational speaker, that is he's world renowned for his motivational speaking, is going to sign up and be on our show and talk about the book he's working on.
Wow. Yay. Welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you. That's fantastic. And Diann, just before we close out for this show, I'm going to spotlight you again because you're so darn good to tell us about the other two shows. Tell our audience about our other two shows and what they can expect: fashion, travel, fitness, and the United Kingdom news and culture.
Sure. You're so sweet. I get to co-host those two shows, y'all. You don't know how exciting that is. Remember how I said there's chapters? Well, here's a new chapter for me. And so I'm sure in your life, you're going to be blessed with lots of chapters. I'm extremely excited about our new show with highlighting the United Kingdom. We're going to be sharing with you all about, as Dr. Jacalyn said, news. There's happy news because we want happy news, but there's such a love between the UK and the United States. We love you over there in the UK if you're listening. And so we want to grow that passion even more and share all the talents and the culture that you have and the wonderful highlights of maybe some of you are on stage or you do voiceover. Maybe there's a lot of food. So we're going to be sharing all those kind of things because, Dr. Jacalyn and everyone listening, people used to say, "Oh, England, the bird." But you know what now? Oh my gosh, there's so many incredible restaurants and shepherd's pie they're known for, of course. And I love shepherd's pie and Wellington beef, Yorkshire pudding. And no, I love it. It's wonderful, right? And then all the beautiful places there and people. And then fashion, fitness, travel, and leisure. Every one of those topics are going to be covered. Fashion, not just about clothes, but shoes, earrings, makeup, eyelashes. There you go. And hats, exactly. And Dr. Jacalyn, hopefully we can spotlight you and you can give us tips on exercising, and like you did yesterday, the plank, that was incredible. So if you're looking to think that, oh, you can't do anything anymore, Dr. Jacalyn will tell you how you can do it just by using that plank.
Guess what, Diane? As a result of our show yesterday, I was going back and forth, back and forth. I decided to buy a trampoline for here because I love the trampoline. I need to get a little more cardio. And I was just debating because I didn't know where I'd put it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put it out back. And if the neighbors see me, I'm jumping up and down. Woo!
You'll inspire them.
Yeah, maybe you'll
I'll
create
go
some
get one.
playfulness. Yeah, it's there's something about when you jump. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's interesting because when I'm on there for about an hour, at least that's what I was doing in New Jersey, and I would do a lot of jumping jacks, and I also use 5-pound weights while I'm doing it. It's not the same feeling as doing a jumping jack on the floor. It's so much more fun on the trampoline. I can't even tell you.
Well, maybe one day you could talk to us about that, Dr. Jacalyn, and also share how you decided which one to get.
You know, I will see if I can figure out the technology to actually have a show where I'm on the trampoline. I could lead a class, but if anybody has trampolines, but if you don't have trampolines, you could do the same workout on the floor, but just not as much fun, I think.
I know you're wanting to close out the show, but I have to tell you what I just bought yesterday. My
Let me
new
hear
gadget.
it.
You're gonna love it. Oh no, you don't need a spotlight. I want to see your face.
Okay.
I just bought, I just bought through Apple their, I think it's called the Provo 360 face tracker. So now when I do cooking and talk, it'll follow me to the oven. There's no, if I decide I want to do jumping jacks, it does the whole body.
Wait, tell us, what exactly does it do?
It follows you. It records you.
It records you.
Yeah. I'm going to learn more about it, but yeah.
And what was the catalyst that was the reason you decided to go and download this?
Because I received on Instagram a little thing of this woman doing her jumping jacks, like you had just said, which made me think of it. And I was like, oh, I have to try that out because I do love gadgets. I'm very much like my dad, like that. I love gadgets. I have to try this out. And so my husband gave me like a Visa card or something for Christmas to go get one. So I finally had time yesterday to go get it, and it arrives tomorrow.
So it's not software. It's it's a device.
Yeah. So what it is actually, it's a round. It's about this tall, and you put your iPhone in it, and then you record it, and then you can, drop it into your favorite program for editing and get it out on YouTube and everything else.
Whoa, Diane.
You
might have just started a trend here. What's it called again? Again, not a paid spokesperson.
Yeah.
But
I think it's Provo 360. I'll send you the link.
All right. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah. It's so cool, right?
That is cool. So that would help with the trampolining outside, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the other things I was thinking, and of course we can talk about it offline, but hopefully we're inspiring you guys out there, is how cool it is. You know how we've had guests that specialize in hair, or, have you seen it where they can put in, like purple, like little
the extension?
Fringe. No, it's like fringe, like
Rachel had?
Yeah, like Rachel had, right?
Yeah,
right,
no,
right.
I haven't seen anyone actually do that.
Comes in all colors. So I'm thinking I might go to my hairdresser and say, I'm going to film you doing that. And then when you come onto the show, we can just spotlight it in there.
Great idea. You're going to go out on the road.
Yes, so are you.
Wow. Just think of all the possibilities, Diane.
I know. I'm so excited about my new gadget.
I'm excited for you. I'm going to look into it. And for anybody who's out there, whether you're watching on the live or on the replay, if you have a trampoline and you'd be interested in trampolining with me on air,
How fun would that be?
Wouldn't that be fun? Everybody's jumping up and down and up and down. I actually watched a video on YouTube, and that's what gave me the idea of the workout that I was doing when I was in New Jersey.
Mhm.
And there's some really hard moves that you can do. Like if the trampoline is in the middle, you're on the side of it, and you step your one foot, then your other foot, then you step off, and you kind of leap. You're like leaping and on and off without
Oh,
tripping and hurting yourself. So you're
like
working
step aerobics. That's kind of scary.
yeah, like on a yeah, and because it's
because you're bouncing.
yeah, it's an unstable platform, so you really have to be careful of what you're doing. I mean,
Mhm.
you could definitely get hurt if you're not. That's why you want an area there's nothing around you.
So we don't recommend this if you are not stable.
Right, and like I could never put it right here because the
Mhm.
green screen be a hole.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that'll be fun to do.
Yeah, it'll
Well,
definitely.
thank
be
you
fun
for
to do.
interviewing me today. It was very kind of
Yes.
you. It was fun, and I'm sure I'm going to have more things to share with you in the future. And I hope everyone that's listening will subscribe to your channel. If you want to share with them how to subscribe to your channel.
Yes, thank you. So we actually live stream on 11 platforms, and then we become a podcast on 5 others. We're on the radio, on Business Talk Radio. Soon we'll have our own radio station, which is USA Global Radio, and you'll be able to watch.
Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa! Whoa! Repeat! Repeat!
Yes, you'll be able to watch or listen from our website coming soon. And we have a YouTube channel, like many people. Diann, you have a YouTube channel, and that's one of the places that you can watch us. And I really recommend it because we put everything into a playlist, so it's easy to find. So if you're a real aficionado of the Corner Bookstore, you can go right to the Corner Bookstore. Everything's numbered in terms of episodes, and it corresponds with the posting that we do for the show. So the YouTube channel, just for branding consistency purposes, is USA Global TV. So we would love for people to subscribe. We see, I look at the analytics, and there are tens of thousands of people who watch the programs but don't subscribe. So I don't, and I've done that myself. I look at something and I just don't even think of it. You just look at the content and don't think about subscribe, but it really does make a big difference. So if you could just go over there and click subscribe, we would love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your next show?
The next show is The Wise Ones with our new co-host, Mr. Red O'Laughlin. So that's going to be
fabulous.
A lot of fun. And Diann, just so people know where to find our shows, they can watch the UK, United Kingdom News and Culture on Wednesdays at...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so happy that you got the title right. Because I have to get used to that title.
I know.
I hope everybody's laughing.
We had a different title for that show, but now it's the United Kingdom News.
So it's at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time.
Fabulous. And then our fashion program is on right after that on Wednesdays, and that would be 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern.
Perfect.
Definitely.
You're
what I need to do is I got my Apple Watch. I have the world time on it, but I can't figure out how to use it. So I need to have like a chart that has all the times and converts it, because our shows are on all over the world. And just in our team, we've got 5 different time zones, but we could put all the time zones, and it would just be hilarious. We can't do that.
No, we can't do that. But it's amazing that you keep up with it. But now I know your secret.
It's this watch.
watch.
I love this watch. I love it. Apple Watch. Okay. All right, Diann, we're going to sign off for now. And I'm really thankful for everybody for watching and for just being part of this journey with us. It just keeps getting better.
It sure does. Take care.
Take care. You too. Bye, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you on The Wise Ones shortly after this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.